So just over 2 years ago now, we got one of the coolest reveal trailers for any Star Wars content ever in Star Wars Eclipse, and since then we've not heard a single peep about the game at all. Well, as recently as just last week, we did actually hear some more news on the game finally, and so today I'm going to be going through all of that news with you guys. Now, before we get into it, if you guys are Star Wars fans, which I'm going to assume you are, be sure to check out fineeditionsabers.com. They've got an amazing range of quality sabers for sale. This one that you guys can see on screen is the Sentinel, which is a replica of Obi-Wan's lightsaber. It's honestly super high quality and I could not recommend them anymore. So if you guys are interested, be sure to check them out. The link is down in the description. And if you do end up buying any, be sure to enter the code SAMMY at the checkout for 10% off your order. But with that being said, let's get stuck right into the news. So ever since that initial announcement of Star Wars Eclipse, we've really not heard anything on the game in terms of a release date or anything like that. Now, we have heard a few things, but they've actually only been essentially negative things about Quantic Dream, who are the dev company behind the game. We've heard a few sort of negative things about their workplace environment, which I'm not going to get into in this video as it isn't the nicest of topics. I'm going to save you guys from hearing from that because it's not really the nicest thing to hear about. But the game has essentially been heavily rumored to be struggling ever since we got that first announcement. Apparently there wasn't enough staff to even begin making the game at all when they first pretty much announced the trailer. They're also working on a whole new engine apparently that they haven't used before, and then all the allegations from that previous point that I made that I'm not going to get into, they were all overshadowing the game to the point where it genuinely just seemed like the game was going to get cancelled, and it was pretty much heavily speculated the game would end up being cancelled. Well, in a recent interview with IGN, Lisa Pence, Vice President of Marketing for Quantic Dream, did actually confirm the game is still being made. Now I'm going to read this article out for you guys to pretty much fill you in on all the details. And she started off the interview by saying it still exists, saying it's just not ready, it is simmering. Now that was pretty much all that she said in terms of that side of it, in terms of release date and anything like that. She pretty much just said it is still being made, and that was realistically the extent of it. We did get a few more details as well though, and so I may as well go over those for you guys as well because they are pretty interesting to actually read about. Now she said one of the big focuses that we've had when we announced Star Wars Eclipse was to make sure that it was clear it is actually an action adventure game that has all the elements that you would come to expect from a Quantic Dream title, which is intricately branching narratives, multiple playable characters, and then she even says there's no game over. Anyone can die, anything can happen, and the story sort of continues so that those signatures are still there. But what we've been doing is even more ramping up our expertise in the gameplay arena. Now, that is pretty interesting to hear about, honestly, and I'm probably going to do a bit of a deep dive into what that can mean for the game because I haven't actually played many Quantic Dream games in the past, so I don't really necessarily know what she's talking about there when she says there's no game over, anyone can die, anything can happen, and the story sort of continues. It is definitely very interesting to read those, so be sure to keep your eyes peeled on the channel because I'll probably do a deep dive into that and sort of explain what she's actually getting out there. Now, to follow up later on in the interview, it was mentioned about Quantic Dream actually being bought out by a Chinese company called NetEase, and she pretty much said one of the amazing things about working with NetEase is that they're not imposing release dates on us. Quantic Dream has always released games when they're ready, and I think the high level of quality that you get when you buy a Quantic Dream game is a testament to the value of that approach, and it's the same thing with Star Wars Eclipse. So you will know, but it's too early right now to really give any update on it. So as it says in the interview, it does seem like the game is still going to be launching. The fact that she referred to it as simmering though does imply it is still going to be a very long way away, and then what she said there about working with NetEase and that there's no rush for them to get it out, that probably implies the game is not even remotely close to launching, which most of us have pretty much been saying the whole time anyway. I initially thought the game was probably going to get cancelled, but I even said if it doesn't get cancelled it's still going to be a very, very long way away, and that seems to still be the case with this game. Now if I had to guess, and keep in mind this is really just a guess, there is no way to actually tell, I'd probably have to say that 2026 at the absolute earliest would be when they're probably going to launch the game, and I would probably say 2027 or 2028 is probably the more realistic date. So like I said, this game is still a very long way away. As I mentioned earlier, there were a lot of rumors about them not having the staff to actually get into full production when they first announced it. It does seem very weird for how high quality that trailer was. It seemed as though they had been working on this for a long time, but it seems as though they pretty much not just made that trailer, put it out there, and they use that as essentially a way to, I guess, build interest in Quantic Dream as a company and be able to hire people to work on that game. And so even though the trailer came out 2 years ago now, it seems as though they probably have only just entered the actual production of the game. Those first couple of years were probably just like pre-production, where they were still no doubt working on the game in terms of figuring out the story and the setting and all that kind of thing. But I dare say that the actual development of the game has not, really progressed all that far as of yet. However, the fact that she said it is simmering does imply that it's, at least should be underway. But simmering could mean that they're still in pre-production and they're not really, I guess, properly underway. So it is pretty hard to tell. The only thing I can really gather from this whole interview is that the game is still happening and it is going to be a very long way away. Outside of that, there really isn't that much information in here, but it is good to know nonetheless, because like I said, I honestly thought this game was 100% going to be getting cancelled. And don't get me wrong, there is still a long way to go. It definitely could still get cancelled, but the fact that they've come out and confirmed it is still alive, it is still being worked on, that is definitely very good to hear. And I thought I'd break that down for you guys today. Now, like I said, keep your eyes peeled. I will probably go and do a bit of a breakdown on what that could mean about the whole there's no game over screen. So keep your eyes peeled on the channel, because that will be coming out in the next few weeks. And if you guys are interested in just general gaming outside of just Star Wars stuff as well, be sure to sub to the new gaming channel, Sammy Boy Gaming. I'm currently covering Starfield over there, but there is plenty of big AAA games on the way. All of them will be covered on that channel, so be sure to go and check it out. I will be doing a setup tour at 1K subscribers. But with that being said, thank you all very much for watching. You guys have a great day, and may the force be with you always.